Marriage had always seemed like an unshakable fortress, solid, unwavering, dependable. My husband, Daniel, was the kind of man anyone would envy. Loyal, responsible, gentle. The kind of partner who always made sure I had gas in my car before a long drive, who fixed the leaky faucet without me asking, who remembered our anniversary even when I forgot. But love, I had learned, was not the same as passion. I once burned for Daniel. In the early days, we couldn't keep our hands off each other. We laughed until we cried, made love until the sun rose, whispered secrets in the dead of night. But somewhere along the way, life became predictable. The kisses turned routine, the touches lost their spark, and the words that once sent shivers down my spine now felt rehearsed. That's when I met Liam. It happened in the most ordinary way. I stopped by a cafe near my office for a quick coffee, scrolling through my emails as I waited. The scent of espresso filled the air, the low hum of chatter creating a comforting background noise. Mind if I sit here? I looked up, and that's when I saw him. Liam was the opposite of Daniel in every way. Where my husband was clean-cut and professional, Liam was ruggedly disheveled, his dark hair slightly tousled, his jawline marked with just the right amount of scruff. His eyes held something mischievous, a quiet confidence that made my pulse quicken. "It's a free country," I replied, trying to sound indifferent. He grinned as he sat down. "Good to know." At first, it was nothing. Just polite conversation between two strangers sharing a table. But Liam had a way of making the world disappear when he spoke. He didn't just listen. He observed, read between the lines, caught the things I didn't say. "You look like someone who follows the rules," he remarked after a while. I arched a brow. "And that's a bad thing?" He smirked. "Not bad. Just limiting." I laughed, shaking my head. "You don't even know me." "True," he admitted. "But I'd like to." There was something in his voice, in the way he looked at me, that made my stomach tighten. A part of me knew I should walk away, end the conversation before it turned into something more. But I didn't. Instead, I let it continue. Liam was dangerous in the way all forbidden things were. He didn't push, didn't pressure. He simply existed in a way that made me crave his attention. "Are you married?" he asked, his tone casual. The question made my throat go dry. I hesitated before answering, "Yes." His lips curved upward, but there was no disappointment in his expression. Just quiet curiosity. Happily. The air between us shifted. I should have immediately said yes. Should have defended my marriage, my husband, the life I had built. But I hesitated. And that hesitation was my first mistake. That afternoon, I left the cafe with Liam's number in my pocket. I told myself I wouldn't use it, that I was just flattered, that it was harmless. But deep down, I knew better. Liam wasn't just a stranger. He was temptation. Days passed, then weeks. I told myself what happened at the cafe was nothing, just a fleeting moment of excitement, a harmless conversation with a stranger. But the truth lingered, gnawed at me in quiet moments. I hadn't forgotten Liam. And worse, I didn't want to. His number remained in my phone, untouched yet burning like a secret waiting to be set free. Every evening, as I lay beside Daniel, I thought about it. My husband's steady breathing filled the silence, his presence warm and familiar, yet my mind drifted elsewhere. One evening, after Daniel had gone to bed early, I sat alone in the dim glow of my phone screen, staring at Liam's contact. Before I could talk myself out of it, I typed a single message. "Me, hey." A response came almost instantly. "Liam, I was starting to think you'd never text me." My pulse quickened. "Me, I wasn't sure I should." "Liam, but you did." It was a simple truth, yet it sent a thrill through me. What started as a late-night message turned into an ongoing conversation. Every day, I found myself stealing moments to talk to him. During lunch breaks, in the car before heading home, even in the bathroom when Daniel was just a few feet away. I told myself I was just enjoying the attention, that it was harmless. But deep down, I knew I was dancing on the edge of something dangerous. Then, one evening, Liam sent a message that changed everything. Liam, dinner. Tomorrow. Just you and me. My fingers hovered over the screen. I should have said no. I should have ended it right there. Instead, I typed, "Me, where?" The next evening, I stood before my mirror, heart pounding. I had chosen a dress Daniel had never commented on before, one that hugged my curves in just the right places. My lips were painted a deep red, my hair left in loose waves. I barely recognized myself. When I arrived at the restaurant, Liam was already waiting. His eyes swept over me, darkening with approval. "You look incredible," he murmured, standing as I approached. My breath hitched. "Thank you." Dinner was intoxicating. Every glance, every brush of his fingers sent heat pooling in my stomach. He was different from Daniel in every way, edgy, unpredictable, a man who didn't play by the rules. I told myself I could walk away at any moment, that this was just a stolen evening, nothing more. But when he reached across the table, tracing the inside of my wrist with his fingertips, my resolve crumbled. "Come with me," he whispered. My heart pounded as I followed him out of the restaurant. Every step toward his apartment felt like crossing a line I could never uncross. The moment the door shut behind us, hesitation vanished. His lips crashed against mine, hands exploring, bodies pressed together with desperate need. My wedding ring burned against my skin, a silent reminder of what I was betraying, but I ignored it. For the first time in years, I felt desired, craved, alive. That night, I wasn't a wife. I was a woman consumed by lust. And I didn't regret it. Morning light streamed through the window, golden rays casting long shadows across tangled sheets. I lay there, tangled in Liam's embrace, the weight of what I had done sinking in like an anchor. His arm draped over my waist, fingers resting possessively against my bare skin. I should have felt guilt. I should have been filled with regret. Instead, a dark thrill coursed through me. Liam stirred, pressing lazy kisses along my shoulder. "Morning, beautiful." His voice was deep, laced with satisfaction. My stomach fluttered despite myself. I turned to face him, my fingers tracing the sharp angles of his jaw. "I should go," I whispered, though I made no move to leave. Liam smirked. "Do you want to?" No. I didn't. But reality wasn't so forgiving. I had a husband waiting at home, a life built on vows I had shattered. With reluctance, I forced myself out of bed, dressing in silence. Liam propped himself on one elbow, watching me with hooded eyes. "This doesn't have to be the last time," he murmured. I swallowed hard. I should have said yes, that this was a mistake never to be repeated. But instead, I gave him a soft smile before slipping out the door. When I arrived home, Daniel was in the kitchen, a cup of coffee in hand. His face lit up when he saw me, but something flickered in his gaze, a hesitation I almost missed. "Where were you?" he asked, voice casual, too casual. My stomach twisted. I had spent the night with another man, but I had prepared my lie in advance. "Emma had a crisis," I said smoothly, using my best friend as an alibi. "She needed someone to talk to, so I stayed over." Daniel studied me, his blue eyes piercing. For a second, panic seized me. Could he tell? Did he know? Then, he smiled, pressing a kiss to my forehead. "You're a good friend." Guilt slammed into me, an iron weight settling in my chest. I forced a smile and wrapped my arms around him, hating how wrong it felt. His scent was familiar, safe. So different from the intoxicating danger Liam carried. I should have ended things there. But I didn't. Days turned into weeks, and my affair with Liam became a secret I guarded like a precious sin. Every stolen moment, every whispered promise, every heated touch became an addiction. I was living two lives, one as Daniel's devoted wife, the other as Liam's insatiable lover. But secrets don't stay buried forever. One evening, I came home late, my hair still carrying the faint scent of Liam's cologne. Daniel was waiting for me in the living room, a glass of whiskey in hand. "How was Emma?" he asked, voice unreadable. A chill ran down my spine. Something in his tone sent alarms ringing in my head. I forced a smile. She's doing better. Silence stretched between us before Daniel exhaled slowly, setting his glass down. I know. My breath caught. Know what? His eyes met mine and my stomach dropped. That you're lying. My heart slammed against my ribs as the words left Daniel's lips. I know that you're lying. The air between us turned suffocating. My pulse pounded in my ears, drowning out the world around me. I opened my mouth, but no words came. Daniel leaned forward, his elbows resting on his knees, fingers interlocked. His face was eerily calm, but his eyes, God, his eyes burned with something terrifying. How long? He asked, his voice controlled, too steady. I swallowed hard, my throat dry. Lying wasn't an option anymore. A few weeks, I admitted, barely above a whisper. His jaw tensed. With who? My lips parted, but I hesitated. Saying Liam's name felt like sealing my fate. It doesn't matter. It matters to me. A deep breath shuddered through my body. Liam, I finally confessed. Daniel leaned back, nodding slowly as if confirming something he had already known. The silence that followed was unbearable. My stomach twisted, the weight of my betrayal crushing me. Say something, I pleaded. His next words sent a chill down my spine. I already did. He stood up, grabbing his coat from the chair. My panic surged. Where are you going? I asked, stepping toward him. He met my gaze, unreadable. I don't know yet. Then he was gone. The following days were a blur of regret and anxiety. Daniel hadn't come home that night. Or the next. Calls went to voicemail. Texts remained unanswered. I barely ate. I barely slept. The guilt that I had so easily ignored now consumed me whole. When he finally walked through the door 4 days later, my breath caught in my throat. He looked different. Not broken, not furious, just resolved. We need to talk, he said. I braced myself. I loved you, he continued, voice steady, almost clinical. I gave you everything. But you made a choice. And now I'm making mine. My stomach dropped. Daniel, please. He raised a hand, silencing me. You don't get to beg now, not after what you did. Tears burned my eyes, but he didn't soften. I'm done. 2 words. That was all it took to shatter everything. I reached for him, desperate. I made a mistake. He stepped back. No, you made a decision. His words cut deeper than any scream ever could. The divorce papers arrived a week later. No screaming matches, no fights, just a quiet, final ending to the life I had destroyed. Liam called, but I ignored him. He had never really mattered. I had lost the only man who did. And the worst part? Daniel never even looked back.